Dear students, I am Muhammad Mustafizur Rahman, lecturer ICT Model College. Today we are going to study from chapter 5, that is applicable for class 11 and 12. Especially this lesson covered syllabus of pre-test exam of class 12. After today's class, we will able to learn what is programming language, describe different generation of programming language, what is translator program, describe different types of translator program, and structure of a program. Okay, first of all, we will start from programming language. A programming language that we used to make or compose program, and there are some special characters, letters, words, rules that are followed in a particular programming language, and a program is written to make computer work for you. And so programming language that provide the interaction, communication between human and computer. Here is some example of programming language: C, Algol, Basic, Pascal, Fortran, COBOL, C++, Java, C#, Python, Visual Basic, and many more. But in our syllabus, we will learn about C programming language later, and C is called mother of all programming language because the concept of programming language that is developed by C. There are 5 generations of programming language: first, second, third, fourth, and 5th generation. We will start obviously from the first generation. What you see in this picture, there are dancing 0 and 1. So in first generation programming language, people, human beings, use only 0 and 1 for writing any program, and this is also called low level language because it's totally dependent on the structure of computer, that is the internal structure of computer. If you want to learn this program, you need to learn the internal structure of computer, and vice versa. If you want to learn about the internal structure of a computer, you must need to know about first generation programming language, that is low level language, that is created by using only 0 and 1. Here is the official definition. It is called machine language also, and there is only 0 and 1 is used in first generation programming language. So since computer, computer use only 0 and 1 for everything, and you are using 0 and 1 to communicate with computer, so it's very possible to communicate with computer directly by using this first generation programming language, since it depends on 0 and 1 only. There are some examples. There are some advantages of that is communicating computer with directly with 0 and 1, that is first generation. There is no need for translator program because you are giving input in binary value 0 and 1, and computer is also understanding it directly, so you don't need any translator program, so it works faster. It requires less memory space because there is no picture, no word, no letter, no image, no video. There is only 0 and 1, so it less memory space. If you want to understand the internal architecture of computer, then you need to learn machine language, and we will see it's also vice versa. Disadvantage: here is a funny picture. You see this people is very upset with machine language programming because it's very hard. It's very hard for human being to write a program. Writing a program is very time consuming because you need to type only 0 and 1, 0 and 1, 0 and 1. So it's also very disturbing. There are huge chance of mistakes, because if you write 0 or 1, if you write a 0 other than 1 instead of 1, then it's wrong. So you need to be very careful, because everything you need to write, that is in 0 and 1, 0 and 1. You cannot write A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, anything. You cannot give a command for summation. If you want to do some summation, you need to give command in binary values. So it's very risky. Chance of error are huge. Debugging, that means correction of a program, that is very hard, because you are using only 0, 1. You don't know where is 0 is submitted other than 1. You don't, you know, but it's very hard. You need to learn about the internal structure of a computer, because it's a low-level programming language. It work with computer architecture, so you need to know about computer architecture. If you write in a one specific model, then it may not run in another specific model, because you have written this for your computer, that may vary, that structure of computer may vary from other. So written in one specific model may not run in other computer. Here is an example of a creative question. What we have already learned today, that is in a ICT class, Nazifa madam was discussing about programming language. She told that programs were written only by 0 and 1 long ago. Describe the language mentioned in the stem. Okay, since she said about a programming language that is using only 0 and 1, obviously it's a first generation programming language, that is low level or machine language. You need to describe about it, first generation language. Okay, we will start from second generation programming language now. It is also called assembly language. In other words, it is symbolic code or mnemonic code. Assembly language is also low level. Sometimes we can also call it mid level. Why it is called low level or mid level? Because it also depends on architecture of computer, but it is better than 0 and 1, that is first generation. Still you need to know about the internal architecture of computer. There are some example of assembly language. Add, that means addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, everything is possible, but in a symbolic way, in shorter form. Here is an example of a full statement. Here I see add AXY. AX is a register, and register is a temporary memory of computer, and Y is some that holds some data, a variable, and the value of AX register and Y will be added and heaped into AX. That's why it is called destination, and Y is source operand, and opcode, that is the name of the operation, that is addition. Here add. Assembly language is easier than machine language. It almost directly communicate with computer, not directly, almost directly. Because only 0 and 1 can communicate with computer directly. It works faster. Well, but it is slower than machine language, because it cannot communicate with computer directly, almost directly. It is easier than machine language. Well, we get rid of 0 and 1, 0 and 0 1, so it's slightly easier. Writing program is fast. From which language? From the first generation. Don't compare with third or fourth or fifth generation. It requires less memory also, but it need more memory than first generation computer. Here we see some disadvantage of assembly language. It is very hard to write. Although easier than machine language, we get rid of 0 and 1, but still it is hard, because you need to know about the internal structure of computer, and since you are depending on the structure of the computer, then program written in one specific model of computer may not run in another computer. It requires more time to run because you need to translate into machine language, because computer cannot understand any other language than machine language. Here we see for third generation. It is also called high level language. It is high level because it does not depend on computer architecture. People will give command in English like language and a computer will convert it. There is a specific software like named translator program that will convert it into machine language, then computer can understand. Computer cannot recognize directly, so we need to be this. If you write program in third generation or high level, then translator program is needed to be translating. Some example of high level language: C, C++, Java, C#, etc. But remember, C programming, that is also called mid level because there are some specific feature of C programming that also support that C computer can sometimes some command or statement of C programming can also communicate with computer directly. So that's why C is also called mid-level language. If you remember some disadvantage of low level, that is machine language, and advantage of machine language, then it will be very easier for you to know about advantage of high level. In my previous slides, I have seen that in machine language it is very hard to write. Now I am telling you that it is very easy to write program in high level. It's less time to write a program in third generation, that is high level, but it needs long time to write a program in low level. Chances of doing mistake is low because this language is very much like human language, like English. Debugging is easy, and you don't need to learn about the internal structure of a computer because you are writing program and computer is using translator program to convert it into machine language. So you don't need to bother about the structure of the computer. You just write in your way. So it does not depend on a specific model. A program written in any computer can run in other computer because it don't depends on structure of the computer. Here we see some disadvantage. It cannot be communicate with computer directly. It cannot because it needed to be translated. So you need translator program. So it becomes slower because you need to translate it fast. It needs more memory than third generation or second generation. Okay, now we will start about fourth generation. Fourth generation is called very high level language, and it is also non-procedural language because you don't need to mention the detailed procedure how to solve a program, how to solve a problem. You just mention what to do. So any English like language that does not require traditional input, process, output, then it is 4GL or fourth generation. There are some examples of 4GL like SQL, Oracle, MS Access. All of these are used in database, and HTML, HTML, PHP. All of these are used in website development. Fifth generation programming language. It is also called natural language. Artificial intelligence and neural network. This type of work is done with fifth generation language. Here we see a robot is helping human. That means this robot is intelligent, and this kind of intelligence is created by fifth generation language. Here we see some example of fifth generation language like Prolog, OPS5, Lisp, CLisp, KL1, Mercury, and Intellect. Here is a stamp. If you read this passage with patience, you will find only two keywords, that is a generation language. Here in the stem a specific generation is mentioned and it is in C programming. So you need to answer about third generation programming language, because C is third generation programming language. You can write down advantage, disadvantage and details of third generation language here. You already know about high level and low level programming language, and you already know that human like to write program in high level language and computer can understand only low level language, that is 0 and 1. So in high level language human will write program and the translator program will convert it into low level or machine language. High level language, a program written in high level language, that is also called source program or source code, and translator program will convert it into object program, that is written into binary form, that is 0 and 1, that is low level language. So people will write in source program in high level language and translator program will convert it into object program, that is in low level language. So a translator is a computer program that translates a high level language into low level language. We have seen this slide just before. Why translator program is needed? Because human like to write program in high level language, but computer cannot understand high level, it can understand only low level language, that is 0 and 1. So people write program in high level language like C, C++, Java, etc. and computer translator program will convert it into machine language. There are three types of translator program: compiler, interpreter and assembler. Although all of them are translator, but there are some difference between among the working procedure of this translator program. First we see here we see some example. It's an imaginary example, not real life example. Here we see a program written in C programming language. There are 3 or 4 lines, and compiler, that is a translator program, that will convert this program into binary form at once, all together. So from this example we come to know compiler will convert the whole program at a time. A C program that is written in high level, that is converted into low level machine language at once. And another example, that is interpreter. There is another example. This program is written in basic, that is also high level, and interpreter converted this high level language into step by step, first line, then second line, then third line. So we already know about 2 types of translator program: high level compiler and interpreter. Now we will see assembler. Assembler, it converts assembly language program. Here we see example of assembly language program, and assembler converted into 0 and 1. So what is the task of assembler? It converts assembly language program into machine language. Here is the summary: compiler, interpreter and assembler. There is important question, difference between compiler and interpreter. Now we see the basic organization or structure of a program. A program must have a input, then after processing it produces some output. Here we see some homework. Our homework is the difference between low level and high level language, and another homework, that is difference between compiler and interpreter. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. Allah Hafiz.